This, though, is the fourth walkout now by the National Education Union this year. We'll find out this morning what's being done to minimise disruption. But first, Martin Easter has been finding out what you make of all of this.
I think I'm just mixed about it, to be perfectly honest. I do still support them. There are just lots of them, and I think it's just quite disruptive.
Disruptive to you or disruptive to the children?
Disruptive to the children, for sure. I think as well, I have another child who is autistic, and so for him, the disruption is more than my other child who isn't. So it's disruptive in that way.
Yeah, they have to do it because the government's not looking after them right. So.
And it's not causing too much problem for you and your family?
No, none at all. No, I think they should carry on until they get what they want.
Everyone, like the NHS, we all need a proper pay rise to come up with the everyday lifestyle. So I think everybody deserves an inflation or a suitable pay rise.
And how are you getting on with the disruption with the schools being closed?
That is, obviously it's distressing for the children missing their education during this time. Yeah, I'm sure it should be resolved and they should come to an agreement with that.
Well, Alan Jones is our industrial correspondent at Press Association. He's given us the latest on the teacher strikes.
It is mainly pay, just like all these big disputes now. The same with the nurses, the doctors, the civil servants. It is about pay, although it is about much more than that now, actually. I think you'll find you talk to any teacher, head teacher, parent now, and lots of teachers are leaving the profession because of the stress they're under, because of pay. So yes, it is pay. They were given, or they were offered rather, a £1,000 one-off payment for this year, 4.3% pay offer for the coming year, and all the main unions, not just NEU, which is on strike this week and next week, all the major education unions have rejected it, and there are talks. There's talk about strikes among kind of head teachers now, as well as teachers. So there's obviously something wrong there, and the NEU have made it clear they would rather be in the negotiating room than on the picket line. But the government up to now doesn't want to meet them.
That was my conversation a little bit earlier with Alan Jones from the Press Association. Let's speak to Ben Habbershaw, who's at Windmill Primary in Headington and a member of the National Education Union. Good morning to you, Ben. We've spoken before. Are you striking both this Thursday and next Tuesday? Got the next 2 days coming up.
Not this Tuesday, but next Thursday. I can't really afford to keep on doing so many days. Good morning, David, by the way.
Good morning to you.
Thank you, by the way, to you and your producers of the show for consistently giving striking workers a voice on Radio Oxford. You've consistently done it, and it's really important.
Well, I should point out, we're not here to support you. We're here merely to cover the news story,
No,
Ben.
I gathered that by some of the questions.
Should make that clear. And I'm here also to find out what parents and everybody feels about all of this, because nonetheless, going on strike, it will affect parents who've got to work this week. If you can't get time off, it eats into your leave. That assumes that you're allowed to take leave. And of course, it affects pupils as well. We've just had the Easter break. They're already behind many because of the pandemic, and yet here we are whacking them again with yet more time off school.
Absolutely, yeah. It's very sad that these strikes need to continue. But it's clear that all public services need a boost, hence why they're all striking. It's also clear that whilst many people struggle, there are large amounts of surplus money in the economy that's being absorbed by energy companies, supermarkets, the Prime Minister, the Chancellor. Some semblance of equality or fairness is really important and seems to be severely lacking amongst many different public services.
How long is this going to go on for?
Well, I think I was reading that the initial round of the strikes from public servants began about 12 months ago, one of which seems to be reaching a resolution. I'm not sure how long it will go on for. And it depends on the government and their negotiating willingness.
And what are you hearing from parents, those that you speak to at the school gates? Are they all supporting you, or are they getting fed up with this?
I think so. I think, British people are generally quite reticent to voice too much of an opinion. But no, we've not had any negative feedback, had a number of people supporting us as well.
Thank you very much. Good to speak to you this morning, Ben. It's Ben Habbershaw.
You too, David.
From a Windmill Primary. Rob Pavey is a head teacher at Cheney School in Oxford. Good morning to you again, Rob.
Good morning.
Yeah, the concerns amongst parents, as we heard earlier, and from Gillian Keegan, the Education Secretary, and we're now entering into exam season. So you've got to manage all of this and try and work out the curriculum. Is the curriculum ultimately going to suffer? Are children going to lose out this year?
Exam classes, no, they won't. We've got. By the way, it'd be lovely to come on and chat about something which isn't awful. Strikes, pandemics, and so on.
I was thinking that as I introduced you. We always bring you like our go-to disaster head teacher with us.
So exam classes, no. We've got a very sensible arrangement with the NEU nationally has given local branches the permission, the scope to talk to local head teachers to come to arrangements to avoid disruption to exam classes. So years 11 and 13 will be unaffected because the exams are coming up really soon. Year 12 will have most, probably, not quite sure, probably about 2/3 of their classes will be taught. And of course, all of the most vulnerable students. You had a parent on who said she has an autistic child. Couldn't agree more. So we remain open for any child in those categories, and our two sort of internal specialist provisions that we run will continue by negotiation between the staff and the parents, whatever's in the best interests of the individual child.
As head teacher, as management, are you in a difficult situation here, Rob? Can you express an opinion? You've got to keep the school open, but presumably you're a member of a union as well. Are you allowed to have views on all of this?
I have lots of views, yes. Not all of them suitable for radio. It's ridiculous, and nobody wants to be on strike. No one wants to disrupt education. Nobody wants to put parents in this position. But it's necessary it's quite a difficult balancing act because, what is the straw that breaks the camel's back? There's no one thing which is going to make the school fall apart, but in aggregate, we've got 20% more kids than we did 3 years ago because there are more kids that need educating. Other public services are equally stretched or more so problems wash back into school. The buildings need quite a lot of investment. Recruitment is getting harder. Retention is getting harder. Each one of these things incrementally makes it harder. And the problem is, yes, it's pay, but really it's and that's the most visible and most tangible thing, but it's the goodwill of the profession. Because no school runs on, what is set down on a job description or, agreed hours or anything like that. It runs on the goodwill of the staff, and we are really close to losing that, at which point we've lost something very fundamental that will take a very long time to bring back. So, I'm really clear that this is not about staff and management. This is about the whole profession pointing out to government that 15 years of underinvestment and hollowing out public services has an effect.
Rob, thank you very much. Appreciate your time this morning. We will talk at some stage about we'll celebrate some good news.
Thank you. I'd love that.
That'd be really nice. Thank you. Rob Pavey, head teacher at Cheney School. Here's the Education Secretary, Gillian Keegan, speaking to the BBC last week. This is what she had to say.
It's so disappointing that they are going to strike in this run-up to exam season when young people are relying on their teachers being there to revise, to be able to get to this point in their life where they feel confident to take these exams, which have an important impact on their life. And they've already suffered so much as a result of the pandemic that it really is extremely disappointing that these strikes have been called. We have made what we think is a fair and reasonable offer of £1,000 and 4.5%. It's been rejected, and I think if you look through the figures, it looks like it's largely been rejected because many teachers thought it was unfunded, and it was funded.
Gillian Keegan, Education Secretary. More of this, BBC News website and through the rest of the week, of course, as well. But let me know what you think. I'm on 08000 321 333. You can start your message with the word Oxford. 8:28.